Welcome back. Well, today marks World Food Day, and non-profit organization Rise Against Hunger will today package and donate 20,000 food parcels to early childhood development centers. The food will be handed out to children from families in need. This initiative is aimed at addressing Goal 2 of the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda that seeks to end hunger and double agricultural productivity in the next 15 years. Brian Nell is the Chief Executive Officer at Rise Against Hunger. He joins us now live in studio. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Morning.
Just talk to us about these food parcels that will be delivered to these early childhood development centers, and I guess we should start there because that's where it's important, that's where it's needed, the early childhood development centers.
Correct. So Rise Against Hunger engages with corporates, and we take the ingredients and the equipment along to the corporates, and we get the staff of the various companies involved, so they actually participate in the program.
Right.
Once the meals are packed up, we then we have a network of early childhood development centers which we distribute to on a monthly basis.
Right. Look, we get a figure of about close to 900 million people around the world that are undernourished.
Correct.
What's your experience on the ground here in South Africa? What are we talking about?
The stats we work with at the moment are there are over 11 million people in South Africa that are food insecure, and of that is over about 3.2 million children that face hunger on a daily basis. I think for me, one of the really scariest, shameful facts is that 1 in 4 children are born developmentally stunted in South Africa. I mean, that's 25%, and that is totally preventable. That is predominantly due to not receiving the right nutrition.
Right. So when you say 11 million children are food insecure, what does that mean?
So food insecure is defined as not having proper access to at least one nutritious, healthy meal a day.
Just one?
At least one, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So it is a problem. And yeah, as I say, we're also focusing a lot on that the developmental stages, as you pointed out, of a child's life. So that first 1,000 days is critical, from conception through to the age of 2.
Yeah.
So it's also a case of providing nutritious meals to pregnant moms. And then, we work in the ECD space with children between the ages of 1 and 6. And we have a whole program where we engage with the ECD centers, and it's an outcomes-based program. So the money saved by these centers, by receiving the meals from us, they're able to reinvest that money back into the creche, send their teachers for teacher training, educational toys, build proper infrastructure, etc., etc. Because those developmental years are critical.
Very, very, very key indeed. Your organization are trying to do their level best in order to mitigate or help the situation. Are you finding that there is enough? I guess there's never enough help out there, but are there more organizations understanding the plight of what these 11 million children are going through and coming to the fore and trying to help out?
I think, the majority of our funding comes from corporates.
Right.
And I think corporates are really getting behind the SDGs. They're all sort of picking various ones, and I think we're very fortunate as an organization that we grew last year. We packed just over 5.3 million meals. This year we aim to pack around about 6 million meals. So we are growing, which is fantastic as these companies get behind us. And it's also encouraging. We're now moving into sustainable farming and to create sustainable communities. Yeah. And
talk to us about that, because that is key, isn't it? Empowering the community in order to provide a sustainable livelihood for people as well, and to feed families as well. How's that going?
We started out towards the end of last year, and we've already got 3 programs up and running.
Right.
The biggest challenge is obviously to work with the community and to find the right land to work on. But we're getting a very positive response from all our donors and a lot of support. So we're very optimistic we will really continue growing in that space. But at the end of the day, to end hunger by 2030, it's we can't do it on our own.
Right.
So we sort of really looking to create a massive collaborative plan to roll out to make sure this happens.
Where are we in terms of achieving this goal? I mean, we're talking about, as I read in the intro, Goal 2 of the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. What is Goal 2? Where are we at this stage?
The problem is hunger has actually slightly increased recently, mainly due to economic times and climate change. So it is a big challenge. But I think government is starting to work towards this. It was encouraging to hear our President mention the 2030 goals, specifically around zero hunger in his latest State of the Nation address. But we need to start working together. We need to start coming together and stop working in silos. There's some wonderful organizations out there. They're doing some great things. The corporates are really getting behind it, and they've also got some really good programs working. But we need to start working together if we're going to achieve that 2030 goal.
You mentioned something very interesting, which is, I guess, topical nowadays, climate change. How is that affecting the situation with regards to food and food production?
I think it is having a major effect, especially if you can see it just in South Africa here with the farms and the drought situation. So that is playing a major role in specifically sub-Saharan Africa. So that is going to add an additional challenge. So we need to be working around that. But there's a lot of focus on aquaponics these days and hydroponics, which is less affected by the natural environment. So there's a lot of organizations working in that space and a lot of development and technology coming out in there.
On that note, a lot of people, especially here in South Africa, that will be affected by this will be people living in rural areas. They might not have the necessary skills or the tools in order to mitigate against climate change. How is that being helped?
Well, there are quite a few organizations that are engaging with the rural areas. We have a lot of corporate donors who come to us and say, it's all very well supporting people and communities in and around the big cities. And they're starting to see the bigger need because obviously the hunger problems is more prevalent in the rural areas. So there is a lot of movement, there's a lot of discussion, and there are projects starting to happen. But there again, it's difficult for one organization to do that. So by forming partnerships with corporates, other organizations, and hopefully a lot of assistance by government, we'll be able to move out into those rural areas and start the various projects.
If you had to leave people with one thought on World Food Day, what would it be?
I think World Food Day is just great to create that awareness. We call it growing the movement. And we just need as many people to get behind it, to be aware of it, and get involved. It doesn't always mean money. There's so many opportunities to volunteer, spread the word, do a bit of skills sharing in assisting other people, and just be very cognizant of waste. One third of all the food produced in the world ends up in landfills, which is a shame. So just be aware of it and keep it forefront of mind, and let's all work to make 2030 possible. We believe this is possible.
It is indeed possible. Thank you very much indeed, Brian.
Thank you for having me.
All right. That was Brian Nell, is the Chief Executive Officer at Rise Against Hunger. Your weather's up next. Stand by, I'll get you more news at the top of the hour.